They do not clinch the 1 seed. They do not lock up the division. It will come down to a Week 18 meeting with the Giants. Now, the Giants, they're pretty much locked into wherever they're going to be, so you might get a team of twos out of New York, but you cross those bridges when you get there. They come up with the loss here due to the Eagles, now 13-3, as the Saints nearly double you up on the money line, and the under comes through. All right, Rick and Tyler back in the mix here to talk Birds. Kudos to the Saints for coming away with the win in this one, but I think most of the takeaways here are on the Philadelphia side. Rick, as you take a look at what could have been here on Sunday, you could have locked it all up. You got the 1 seed. You don't have to worry about Week 18. You get Jalen Hurts a couple extra weeks of rest as you do punch that ticket to the 1 seed in the bye. That is not the case. With all of the dominoes falling how they did here on Sunday, what is the right decision to be made in Week 18?
Well, the right decision to be made in Week 18 is making sure that Jalen Hurts is ready to go for the playoffs, because the Minshew mania, if you want to call it, kind of came crashing down today. So I don't know, but they have to be able to run the ball, and you can see the difference in points. You can see the difference in their offense when Hurts is running it and then when Minshew's running it. And also, I'm still a little concerned about Philadelphia's run defense. New Orleans was able to run the ball on them a little bit today, and that's going to be concerned going into the playoffs. But the number one thing that Philadelphia has to make sure is that Hurts is ready to go when the playoffs come, because if you play him too early and he gets hurt and you got to go into the playoffs with Minshew, I don't know if they're the same football team.
Yeah, clearly not the same football team if Minshew has to be the guy. I mean, you look at that first quarter for this team, they had like 2 total yards of offense. I mean, it was a sluggish start for this team against New Orleans, and they find themselves in a tricky spot now because, yeah, you want to have Jalen Hurts as healthy as he possibly can be for what they hope to be a Super Bowl run, but all of this goodwill, all of this momentum that you've built throughout the season to set yourself up for the number 1 seed in first place in the NFC East, it's all kind of at risk now, and so you do have to have those tough conversations of what do we do with Jalen Hurts? If he's 80% healthy, do we put him in this game? Do we wait till he's 100%? Those are the conversations that you're going to have. Luckily for Philadelphia, you are facing a New York team that obviously just clinched the playoff spot. They might be resting players in that game, so you don't necessarily know if you're going to get a full-on attack from the New York Giants there. So to me, that's the encouraging thing, but they should be able to lock this thing up a lot sooner than they have.
Most definitely here, especially when you look at how this season started and the way they've performed. And yes, we point to Jalen Hurts being out, but Lane Johnson was out in this one as well. Tyler, how big of an impact did you see here with no Johnson shoring up that left side? Because Hurts is going to be back at some point. Johnson, it's reported he won't have surgery and will try and play through that abdominal tear. Just how effective or if he can take the field is another question. What'd you see out of the left side specifically here out of the Eagles and their inefficiency to move the football?
Yeah, you're talking about a guy who is arguably one of the best players at his position. So when you don't have him in the roster, that's certainly going to show some weaknesses there. So for me, obviously, you see maybe things getting sped up a little bit. We're talking about turnovers with Gardner Minshew, pressure, all of those things. It makes life a lot easier when all of a sudden you don't have to worry about what's going on with pass rushers. So with Gardner Minshew, whether it's Minshew or Jalen Hurts, that protection is obviously going to be massive, and obviously run blocking there as well. So again, you need a guy like Lane Johnson fully healthy to be in this offense, to have it run as effectively as they want it to. It's just a matter of how much can he endure? How much is he able to go and impact this game when he's not 100%? In this game, obviously, if you're Gardner Minshew, the pressure on that side is going to have things sped up a little bit, and that can create turnovers. But ultimately, I do think that they will be fine in that spot.
And the one thing that I will add to that is when you do have a Jalen Hurts at quarterback and you're missing a Johnson, or they're having some issues up front because of injuries, Jalen Hurts can make him right with his legs, and Minshew can't. So you're talking about 2 different athletes here. So if there is a breakdown in protection, you have to account for what Jalen Hurts can do with his legs, because he is just as effective running the ball as he is throwing the ball, where Minshew is not.
Rick, Tyler, we appreciate the insights here. Stay put. Plenty more to get to throughout the hour as we take a look at some of the fantasy numbers. Likely championship week, week 17. If you're playing in week 18, what are you doing? Here's a look at how it shook out between the Birds and the Saints. A.J. Brown, the bright spot here, 19 fantasy points and an offensive effort that did not have much. Thankful to get out of this one with 19 next to Brown's name.
you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.